Hi guys, Rab here from Rabtastic Paints. Now if you've been watching the channel for the last few months, you'll have seen that I've been quite obsessed with Star Wars Legion and I've been painting up my Rebel army on the channel. One army's good, but what about second army? That's why I bought this. The Separatist invasion box. It has like 52 miniatures and pretty much a full Separatist army. You get Grievous, 4 units of battle droids, 2 units of droidicas, a Magna Guard and a huge tank. So it's really a great box. But here's the question: can I build and paint this box in 24 hours? No. No, I cannot build and paint 52 models in 24 hours because, like most of you guys, I have commitments. I have a full-time job. I have a dog that needs fed and walked and looked after, and I need like 12 hours sleep a night. I'm an old man. I hate these building and painting an army videos in 24 hours because it makes everyone else feel bad for having not enough time to paint their models. Like, it's so unrealistic. So no, this did not take me 24 hours. This took me almost a week of doing a little bits here and there where I could after work and when I wasn't busy doing the rest of life. So yeah, enjoy the video. Now my first thoughts are, wow, this is a lot of plastic, which kind of hammers home that this box is quite a good deal for anyone wanting to start or add to a Separatist army. Now of course the first thing that I built was the tank. It's huge, it looks brilliant, it's going to be the centrepiece of the army, it's going to be the first thing you notice when you see this army on the table. Really fun kit, really easy as well. I think there's a lot of options or potential options for customising it. If I want to magnetise some bits or make some of the doors open and close. Obviously for the video it's about doing it fast and doing it quickly, so I didn't explore any of those options, but building it was a breeze and really fun. So got it all built up, let's have a look at it. Yes, I think this tank really has a lot of potential for kit bashing, and I might end up buying another. Next up was the droidicas, and I had been pre-warned about these being difficult kits to work with. It wasn't actually that bad. Yes, there's a lot of skinny bits and there's a lot of bits that fit in awkward positions, but once you get one done, it was really easy to hammer out the other 7. Because yes, you get 8 droidicas in this box. You're only supposed to have 4, but you get an option for wheel mode and regular mode for each of them. Now that I'd got some fun models built, it was time to really start the grind with this box and build 36 B1 battle droids. This is another kit that's renowned for being fiddly because they're just skinny little guys. There's some tiny contact points and some bits that are very easy to break. You might notice that one of mine are missing a head, which I had to replace with a Mandalorian helmet. I snipped it and it flew across the room, never to be found again. Again, this is another unit that you can do whatever you want with. They're very flexible to pose. You can point the guns and arms and heads in all different directions so they don't look so uniform, and you can paint them how you wish. Next up I assembled the Magna Guard, which might have caused me the most problems in the entire box. Not because it was a difficult kit, but they had so many extra parts, it was very strange. I could have made like 2 rocket launchers and 2 electro whips. I think if you got 3 boxes of these you could make 4 boxes. It was very strange. There wasn't enough bodies and heads. No, there was enough heads. There wasn't enough bodies to make everything, but there were enough spare parts and weapons. I don't know, I was very confused, which to be honest isn't difficult. But when you're finished you have 6 awesome looking guys. I'm very keen on using that electro whip next time I come up against a Jedi. I think that may be my secret weapon for stopping Anakin next time I play him. The last model in the box was of course the man himself, Grievous, or Grievous if you want to annoy people. He can actually be made in 3 different ways, one with 2 lightsabers, one with 4, and one with a saber and a gun, and the cloak can be on or off on I think all of them, but apparently it's very difficult to get the cloak on with all 4 lightsabers, so I didn't bother doing that. Unfortunately you can't assemble him in like his robot spider form, which is really unfortunate. And there he is in all his mechanical menacing glory, except I put his torso on backwards and had to go and take it apart and fix it. With everything built, I took it outside to prime it. Now I primed all of the models apart from the droidicas with skeleton bone from Army Painter as a spray. I think Wraith Bone by GW is the closest equivalent, but I think Skeleton Bone's a little bit darker. This is the one that I saw everyone else using, and the effects looked really good, so I decided to go with this one. As for the droidicas, they were primed with Gunmetal by Army Painter, but again, I think the GW equipment is just Lead Belcher, which is the best paint ever, but buying a Lead Belcher spray would financially bankrupt me, so I use Army Painter. Now the first models I wanted to paint were the B1s because I wanted them done and out of the way. There were 36 of them, so the plan was to batch paint them with a coat of Skeleton Horde, which is just a fantastic contrast paint. I use it a lot for Rohan, for all of the blonde hair. Really great paint. One coat of that was all it took to make these droids look the part. Then I painted their guns using Black Legion because it's Star Wars Legion and name funny. Once they were dry, I gave them some canonically inaccurate squad markings. I'm not trying to keep to the TV shows or the movies, it was just so I know which units in which squad. The easiest thing for me to do was paint each squad a different colour. Now for the bases I used a mixture of a couple of Geek Gaming Scenic base ready kits. It was the Martian Earth and I think Desert Sands. My original plan was going to be to use the Martian Iron Earth crackle paint, texture paint thing, but I would have had to buy like 5 bottles of it, which again, Games Workshop prices would have financially bankrupted me. Now as easy as the B1 droids were to paint, the droidicas were pretty simple as well. The Lead Belcher had done most of the work. All I had to do was give them a big soapy bath and some lawn oil and then wait quite a considerable amount of time for that to dry. In hindsight, probably should have been the first thing I did. Once it was dry however, I painted the outer shell using Flesh Terror's red contrast paint. It's a really lovely colour. It goes on quite bright but it does dull down, and we're going to give it a dry brush in a minute as well. Now for that dry brush I used Balthazar Gold, although there are a lot of options you could use, like any gold or copper or bronze, just to give it that sort of metallic sheen that you see in the films. Make sure to look at some good reference photos because these are really cool looking droids. Now on to the Magna Guard. Now I was kind of conflicted as to how I wanted to paint these guys. Part of me wanted to Lead Belcher, non-oil, make them look like proper robots, but then I remember that this was a speed painting video, so I settled for Gravelord Grey contrast paint or speed paint from Army Painter. There may be better looking metallic greys, but this is a really good one which I usually use for weapons and such. With the bodywork painted, I guess you'd call it, I moved on to the weapons, so the one pistol and all of the electro staffs, not the whip, which I painted with Black Legion, I think it was again, Black Legion, Star Wars Legion, of course it was, why am I even questioning it? With the weapons painted, it was time to paint some white on the model. We were painting it where any of the electricity from the electro staff or the electro whip would eventually be. I thought that painting contrast paints on top of skeleton bone wouldn't make it as bright and vivid as I wanted it to, so I gave it a couple of layers of pure white first. And then because I did want them to look like robots, I gave the Gravelord Grey a dry brush with some Lead Belcher. The greatest paint ever. Next was to paint the tattered capes that they're all wearing, and you could paint them any colour you wanted really if you wanted to have different squads like the B1s or something to give your little army a little bit of cohesion. That's what I went for, so I painted them with Skeleton Horde. I wanted all of my models to have some Skeleton Horde on them. I think the Droidicas were the only ones that didn't, but yeah, I thought it was a good colour to mix in with the rest of the army. Once I was certain the white had dried, it was time to paint the contrast paint on it, and I chose to paint it Leviathan Purple from Games Workshop. It's a lovely colour, I love purple. You could maybe find a more accurate neon pink or something like that to go with it, but I really like this one. I know that I have made a mistake by painting the Electro Whip purple, it should be yellow, but too late I guess. I didn't watch the episode of Clone Wars until after I'd painted the model. Now on to the big man Grievous himself. He's going to be painted in a very similar way to the Magna Guard. I'm going to use Black Legion for the metal parts on him rather than the grey speed paint, just to make him stand out a bit more. And as I said before, I tried to incorporate a little bit of Skeleton Horde in all of the models, so I used that to paint his armour panels, which I think looks really good to be honest. And here we see how he looks with the armour painted as well as the lightsabers painted white to allow the contrast paint to look a bit better on top of it. Then all you need to do is give it a couple of coats of your brightest blue and green speed paints, contrast paints, whatever. Or you could paint it other colours, you give them red lightsabers, a purple one maybe, whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do, I'm not your dad. Now on to that centrepiece of the army, the AAT, and I'm not exactly happy with how it turned out, but I'll show you what I did anyway. I started off by breaking up some of the colours of some panels on the back of it, which I painted a darker brown. I think it was XV88 or maybe it was Mornfang brown, probably should check that, give me a second. It was in fact neither of those, it was Steel Legion Drab. That down, I used Black Legion speed paint to paint the metallic parts of the tank, which sounds silly because I'm sure the whole tank's metal, but really it was the guns, parts of the cannon and some of the sort of exposed bits on the bottom of it. Now for the worst part of, it was the worst part of my week, I'll be honest, panel lining the tank. Maybe if I did an oil wash, if I was that good at painting and I knew how to do oil washes and it wasn't like a speed painting video, it probably would have looked incredible, but I don't have oils or anything like that, so I had to panel line the entire Mini with Agrax Earthshade, which was something. Now in every video I've ever made about painting, in fact every time I've ever painted, there is a certain part of the painting that I call the trust the process stage, and we are firmly in the trust the process stage. I began to stipple a yellow paint on the rest of the model using a dry brush. I think I seen this on Artis Opus and I thought that I was that good. Maybe went a little bit bright with the yellow, I'll let you guys decide. It certainly helps the tank stick out, but yeah, this is where I was starting to worry a little bit about it. Now I wanted to add some battle damage to the tank to make it look better, so I used a sponge to apply some black scorch marks or burn marks where the missiles would be fired from, and also where some blasters would have bounced off the tank. I then did the same using a metallic paint to show that the paint has been chipped all the way through to the bare metal below the tank, and the same with some of the original skeleton bone colour on the browner parts of the tank to make it look like that paint's been worn away as well. With the tank complete, I based it up and put it with the rest of the army. Oh, I'm not doing that one again, that hurt my knees. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed seeing me speed painting the entire box of miniatures so that I can get a game on Saturday with them. Again, this 24-hour stuff, don't feel pressured to paint the minis, paint them in your time. I know that my friends would rather see grey miniatures on the table than knowing that I stayed up overnight and missed my recommended 12 hours of sleep to get ready. A huge thank you again to all my patrons. I'll put their names up there, probably already, because I've been rambling for quite a bit. And I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, all the usual good YouTube stuff. YouTube has been booting my balls recently, so that's what I get for changing game systems, I guess. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you soon.